When we were colonized, we tend to believe the foods coming in from outside is much better than our traditional food. And because of that mentality, a lot of our people feel like our traditional foods or vegetables or fruits and nuts are not as good for hotels and resorts. My name is Votausi and Australian, and my passion is promoting and use of traditional foods. My aha moment came when I was studying in Australia. So that was a long time ago. When I was studying in Australia, we were doing international cookery, and I was asked if I could showcase one of my Vanuatu cuisine dishes, and I struggled. That was the time when I was determined that, no, this is not good enough. It was too early for people to accept what I wanted to do. When I started the cafe in 1999, I had all this beautiful menu. And then to my realization, my people do not want to come to town to eat local food. They come to eat fish and chips and buy Cokes and blah, blah, blah. And I ended up with just expatriates coming to my cafe. That was hard for me, but that taught me we need to market this. I cannot do it alone, and the government also has to come in. So what I did was I focused on value adding. I did some nuts, and then I dried fruits, and then I went and did chutneys and jams and all these different products. And then from there, I took my products and go to hotels and resorts and tell them this is something that you can use for this. So that was the beginning of trying to introduce all these local products into their menus.
Next slide, thanks. Now we're using chefs from the resorts who are now unemployed.
My name's Cherise Addinsall. I'm a social researcher for the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research. I've been working with that organisation now for 10 years in Fiji and Vanuatu. Vanuatu was actually listed by the World Bank as the 7th most dependent country in the world on tourism. So over 40% of its GDP. Very concentrated in areas though, it wasn't distributed throughout Vanuatu. And where those concentrated areas are is where we saw the most impact on culture, environment.
It was getting to the stage when a lot of our people in the last 40 years, they were so dependent on tourism. And once the tourist stops coming, they did not know what to do. So I think at this point in time, what we want to do is we want our own people to decide on what kind of tourism they want for their country. COVID in hindsight, is a really good thing for us because we stop and we stock take of our lives and see where our lives is heading.
What COVID's done is people return to the land to cope without the income, and we have jumped on that. And it's really given us that momentum to change this story. So we're developing what we call agritourism experiences. Agritourism is not a niche form of tourism here, it's actually a sustainable management strategy, and it speaks to the core values of the people here, which is land, custom, culture, food, and community.
With this new agritourism strategy, definitely it is a new direction. We have 30 ambassadors that we're working with now. And what we wanted them to do is to go back to their businesses and to try to link it to agriculture, to their land, so that if agriculture can become their main source of income, when the borders are open, when they have visitors to their properties, to their farms, then that is the icing on the cake. But don't use it as your main income, because tourism is so volatile. When anything happens, you continue your life. We also have a good business that is running and that is operating, that is gaining income from the domestic market, because we cannot underestimate the domestic market.
We've got agritourism operators that are actually practicing their tours on school groups or government staff or local tourists, or there's a whole market here of people that want to go explore their own country. Now they've got a bit more time, they want to go see things.
Yesterday, we had a demonstration on the use of the local produce. People think, wow, it's so tedious. You have to spend so much time cooking this. So we try to come up with some new innovative ways of preparing in your modern kitchen and using local foods.
My name is Leonid Vusilai, but everywhere on Vanuatu, everyone calls me Leo now.
He is our winner for the first season for Pacific Island Food Revolution.
We made it up there because we brought our food culture with us. So every episode of the cooking competition, we try to tell a story of our culture through a plate. So we display the plate and then we try to talk about how it was used back then traditionally, but then we added our twist to it.
That has a lot of effect on people looking at that, wow, this is great. I can do that too. I didn't realize that my food can be that nice. We are so proud of him and we're so happy to have him on board in promoting this revival of our foods. Every food that we grow in our garden has a meaning to it. We have our special dishes for different ceremony for the whole life cycle. From the mother is pregnant, from when the mother is lactating, from when the child is born, and then the high school kids during initiation of boys and during menstruation. So the whole cycle of life, we have all these different foods that is grown. It is really diverse. It has so much story and tradition behind it. When the borders are open, we wanted international tourists to see Vanuatu as a traditional food, cuisine, and culture destination, that they will be able to come to Vanuatu to experience the natural, organic foods that we have, which is unique and authentic. And I think this is something that we've been missing out on the last 40 years. And this is my dream, and I know that it's going to work.